Hello and welcome to EmpowHer Collective Show, formerly the Dr. Celia Corbo Show. I'm your host, Dr. Celia Corbo, entrepreneur, functional health practitioner, and licensed chiropractor. Join us as we dive into stories of remarkable women making a difference and transforming their dreams into reality. Get ready to be inspired, empowered, and uplifted by the incredible women of the EmpowHer Collective. Today on the show, we have Marlow. Marlow is a registered holistic nutritionist who takes individuals from burnt out to balanced through a focused approach on digestion and gut health. Marlow tailors techniques to each individual, maximizing improvements in sleep quality, stress management, and energy levels. Hi, Marlow. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. As we were talking about before, I saw your profile and I'm like, I need to talk to Marlow because I definitely know that I can be an emotional eater. I was an emotional eater, especially when I was in chiropractic school and under so much stress. And I'm like, I want to talk about this because it's such a, what's the word I'm looking for? It's such like a taboo topic. No one wants to admit to it that they stress eat, but I feel like everyone stress eats.
I've been there for sure.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about you, how you got in the industry and your journey.
So I guess starting from the beginning, I was born in a very hippy dippy holistic home. To start, we ate very well and simple. I had the weirdest lunches, but I absolutely loved it. I wouldn't have changed anything. I also grew up dancing competitively. It was honestly like a full-time job. I was at the studio for close to 30 hours a week.
Oh, wow.
Taking classes, learning choreography, and essentially prepping all year for competitions and nationals. So I think being in a very competitive field made me a bit of a perfectionist where I would push myself so hard, not necessarily understanding that physical stress was kind of impacting my mind and body quite a bit. And then when you add in social media, which can of course get very toxic, especially for younger people, I think that's where a lot of my stress came from. I was comparing myself to everyone and everything. I was trying to be something that I wasn't. And it honestly really messed with my mind. And it was years of that too. It was years of me trading myself that negatively over and over again, which eventually just became normal for me. I would think this is just kind of part of growing up and that's okay. But none of it was normal. It was kind of just my everyday at that point. So it felt normal to me. And I actually went into university with this lifestyle and I carried through until graduation with this lifestyle. And although I graduated and I got decent grades, I definitely still struggled throughout university more than I should have because of my habits. For example, I went out and drank multiple times a week. I'd go to bed past midnight every day. I had the worst relationship with food and how I ate. And I think all of this was done without addressing any of my stress either. So you can only imagine how much fuel all of that was adding to that fire already. So and then I remember in my fourth year, I was done school. I was trying to figure out my next steps, in university. And I was often revisiting the topic of holistic nutrition because it was something that I grew up kind of knowing a little bit about, not too much, but just grew up with that side. And I remember actually asking one of my profs what they thought about this. And to my surprise at the time, they were so incredibly against it. And they're immediately shaking their heads. They couldn't really give any reason why. And fast forward to now, I am happy I listened and trust myself. Because I went through with it. I went through with the school. I had zero regrets. And so, it was a little bit scary at the time thinking about going into something that one of my profs who I obviously looked up to, they were just kind of saying, no, don't do that. So here we are. I went through with it. I'm very happy I did. But it was only after when I got into holistic nutrition that I first of all realized what chronic stress was, but then I also realized that chronic stress wasn't normal and that there are ways to support ourselves through nutrition and lifestyle and all that stuff. So that's exactly what I did. And that's what I still prioritize to this day. My life literally flipped upside down when I started focusing on that. And I'm now in control of it now. So now I get to actually help people in their journeys to go from that burnt out state to more of a balanced version of themselves, basically through nutrition, lifestyle, and work. So that's a little bit about myself.
Yeah, I feel like everyone in healthcare has a really experiential journey through food or whether it be with exercise. And it's almost like it's taken to the extreme. Yeah. And then we have that conscious ability to be like, this isn't what I want, or something doesn't seem right here. So we reel ourselves back in, and now we're the coaches helping people do what we did with ourselves. So it's amazing to know that, you have gone through this journey, because feel like clients really appreciate that, knowing their coach has the experience and not just the textbook understanding.
Exactly. I feel like those people that went through it are the best teachers because they have gone through it. They have their own experiences and they've learned outside of their own experiences as well. So yeah, I definitely think clients appreciate that. It's something that I can feel as well. So I agree for sure.
Yeah. Well, I want to really talk to you about stress eating.
Let's
Like I
get
mentioned
into
before,
it.
it's one of the things that I saw on your profile, and I'm like, I was definitely on a roller coaster myself from like the age of 13, where, food has definitely been like an evil, you could say, at times, because you're like, no carbs, oh no this, I want sugar, I shouldn't eat sugar. But can you explain to us the psychology maybe that goes on behind why we stress eat, or what gravitates us to even start that habit in the first
place? So I find when we're stressed, like we're first of all not thinking as clearly as we want to be. We are tensed up, like you might experience those Arthur fists. Our breathing is not normal, like everything just is not quite normal for us. So when we start to experience stress, we're thinking about, okay, distractions. What can I distract myself to take the stress away? A lot of the times that's with food. And honestly, like when you are stressed, sometimes you do need a little snack just to kind of help yourself through it. But at the same time, I find it's just the distraction piece that you want out of it, without really thinking about it first. So you just kind of like, this is what I'm familiar with. This is what I know. I'm going to grab this. This is going to distract me. And then you kind of just get into that cycle of, okay, well, helped me maybe in that moment. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And I guess that's how you get in that cycle in the first place. But it's just a way to comfort yourself, basically, I find, and distract yourself. And then you get into that cycle over and over again.
Yeah. Is there like a dopamine hit that people tend to have? Because I don't know. I personally never read about it. I've never researched it intentionally. But every time I binge ate or stress ate, I almost felt like this dopamine hit, almost like this satisfaction from it. Is that actually something?
Depending on what you eat. Like, say if you grab, I don't know, like a sugary like snack or something, you're going to experience that sugar high. You're going to feel good. And then quickly after, you're going to crash after that because there's not much substance to it. They're more simple sugars, right? So it's going to break up quickly and then you're going to crash quickly because of that. So yes, depending on what you eat, you will experience that high. Also, depending on what you eat, that's where you might experience a crash or not a crash. So
yeah. I know I'm kind of a weirdo because I didn't really gravitate towards the sugary things like the fast foods or the candies and all that stuff because I was really strict with my diet. But it was almost like I was eating too many healthy foods as well. Could that also be a problem when it comes to stress eating?
Well, when you're when you're snacking, and I used to be a grazer, like I would always snack throughout the day. But say if you're eating like all these healthy foods, that's great, right? But if you are continuously snacking on them, you're not giving your body the break to digest those foods. You're continuously adding things for your body to handle, essentially. So it's putting a lot more stress on your body that way as well. Not to say that like snacks aren't good. Like you definitely want to have some snacks throughout the day, but it's when you're continuously snacking, I guess in that way where like, say if you're stressed and you're chronically stressed and you're just snacking throughout the day, you're not giving your body that break to essentially break your foods down. So it's just going to cause more stress on your body. Probably will help in the moment as well. But again, could experience that crash, which doesn't seem like in your situation was the issue. But more just the fact that like the continuous snacking is just causing more stress on your body as well.
Yeah, I recently just found through my functional health certification program that there's something called the migrating motor complex.
Yes, exactly.
And like, you want your stomach to grumble. And my teacher was like 11 times a day. I'm like, 11 times a day? I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'm not much of a snacker unless I'm super stressed, but I was like, that's a lot. Like, can you explain to us what the migrating motor complex is? Why do we want our stomach to grumble? Things like that.
It's exactly what I just explained, actually. The migrating motor complex, again, like when you're snacking consistently throughout the day, you're just giving your body foods to handle and foods to break down, absorb, utilize, eliminate, all of that stuff. So it's essentially just that where you're not giving your body that break. and it's just causing that stress. So that's
Yeah.
essentially what the migraine motor complex is, wanting to give your body that break.
Yeah. Okay. But do we put ourselves in a state of more stress when we eat? Like, does it keep the cycle going, or are we able to break the cycle through the food?
That's a good question. I think you could say yes to both of those. Like, yes,
Okay.
continuously snacking could cause some stress on your body. However, some of the foods that you are eating could support that as well. So, say like balanced meals, for example, when you're getting in quality carbs, proteins, fats, and fibers, with that, you're likely getting in a lot of micronutrients as well. These foods, when you're having those balanced meals, it's going to satisfy your blood sugar levels, which is going to keep
Hmm.
you stable throughout the day. So, and you're going to feel satisfied longer as well. So,
Hmm.
eating balanced meals like that, that's going to essentially help in your stress response. It's going to satisfy you longer and likely prevent you just continuously grabbing from things.
Hmm.
So I would say food can absolutely help with the stress. Focus on those balanced meals. However, at the same time, if you're getting in all these balanced meals and you continuously snacking, you're still putting a lot of stress and potential like pressure on your body to handle all these foods.
Hmm.
It's great that you're getting in these balanced meals, but you also want to listen to your body and take those breaks that it needs. Listen to your hunger cues, your full cues, all of that, just to give your body.
Yeah. And okay, let's go into like what is a balanced meal? Because I feel like on Instagram, every time I'm scrolling, I'm just like what I eat in a day and like eat your macros, don't eat your macros. And there's so much overwhelm around food on social media. And even as a
Yeah.
practitioner, I have a better knowledge of nutrition compared to an average individual. If someone's scrolling, not knowing what they're looking at, and then they find you, what would you say like a balanced meal would be? And how should we be eating more like that in our everyday?
So balanced meals are going to look different for everybody because our
Mhm.
bodies are so different. So what works for me is not going to work for you, or it might.
Mhm.
But it's when I try to give advice on my social media, for example, I try to keep it very general because I know we are so different. So
Yeah.
when you're thinking of a balanced meals, like I said, you want to focus on quality carbohydrates, proteins, fats, and fiber, and then also
Mhm.
water as well, I would say, in that umbrella.
Mhm.
Um, Quality carbohydrates, for example, you're going to want to focus on more of those complex carbs versus the simple carbs.
Mhm.
Complex carbohydrates are essentially longer chain sugar molecules, which take longer to be digested and broken
Mhm.
down, which is going to release the energy a little bit more slowly, so more stable energy
Mhm.
throughout the day, versus simple carbohydrates, which are shorter sugar molecules. Those break down very easily. Like I said before, you're going to experience that sugar high and then that crash as well. So you're going to want to
Mhm.
focus on quality carbohydrates. So things like vegetables, whole grains, legumes, vegetables, nuts and seeds, things like that.
Mhm.
Those are going to be
Mhm.
really great sources to focus on for your complex carbs.
Okay.
So you need those carbohydrates. In terms of healthy fats, these really help support our cognitive and hormone health, both of
Mhm.
which relate how well we respond to stress. So you're going to want to focus on things like fatty fish, avocados, chia seeds, nuts and seeds, oils like olive oil, coconut oil, things like that.
Mhm.
And then, of course, your proteins, we really want to prioritize our proteins as well. I would say you want to focus on, all of them.
Mhm.
I would really prioritize the proteins in a meal and then the carbs and then the fats, but you want to make sure that you're getting all three of those because they are going to stabilize you throughout the day. It's going to satisfy you longer.
Mhm.
And it's just going to support literally everything else as well, like your hormone production, your energy, all of that stuff. So,
Mhm.
um, and then fibers as well. These are things that are going to help with elimination and all that stuff as well. With fiber, you need water, which is why I kind of added that in at the end there.
You do.
But
You can get constipated.
you absolutely need water with that. But yeah, in terms of balanced meals, you just want to think about those 5 things, I would say.
Mhm.
And of course, like there's certain foods that you can eat in all of those categories, right? And it's just
Mhm.
whatever works for yourself. So when
Mhm.
looking at a meal, for example, I always tell my clients, like, what else can you add to it to either make it more colorful, make it more
Mhm.
balanced? I always try to see what else we can add to it. And like even snacks as well. Like I try to make my snacks more balanced rather than just an individual item, just to
Mhm.
help with the satisfaction. So just asking yourself, what else can you add to your meal? Do I have my carbs? Do I have proteins? Do I have fats, fibers? I wouldn't say like chugging your water in your meal is probably the smartest thing to do, but you just want to prioritize it throughout your day, is all I would
Yeah.
say for that, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, absolutely. I find that with a lot of my patients, a lot of my clients, when I ask them how much water do you drink in a day, they're like barely, of like even a 500 milliliter bottle. And I'm like, that is not good.
Yeah. A
Like,
lot of people don't drink enough
I don't
water.
drink water. But
Yeah.
I actually found adding electrolytes to my water made a humongous difference, because I
Yes.
was one of those people where I would drink all day, but I wouldn't feel like my thirst was quenched
Yeah.
until I started drinking electrolytes. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not peeing as often as I used to. I don't feel like my mouth is like over, like it's like pruned from drinking so much water. Is it because the electrolytes are helping us to rebalance, and then that helps to like remineralize? Is that essentially it?
Yeah. So it's helping like absorb the water essentially.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Okay.
do you do like, what do you add into your waters?
Well, right now I just have a lemon wedge here because I usually
Nice.
do lemon water in the morning and then my mushroom coffee. But then I'll do an element packet. I don't know if you know about
Mm-hmm.
element. Oh my gosh, I've tried like a lot of electrolytes, and by no means am I like a person to endorse for element for, monetary benefit, but I tell every single person about element because I don't know what ratio they're using, but it's like magic. It gives you so much energy.
I've never tried Element.
Oh my god, great.
But no, I think I probably will try it soon. But I remember I put out like a little question box a few weeks ago, and I was
Yeah.
like, does anybody have any recommendations for like an electrolyte that doesn't taste artificial? Because I
Yes.
find a lot of them do, right? And so
Yeah.
someone actually mentioned Element, and I know this person has definitely experimented with all these different
Yeah.
electrolyte supplements, and they were saying how this one actually is like pretty solid. So I definitely want to give that one a go myself. I'll usually add in like sea salt or mineral drops to my water, just to get those electrolytes in as well. But I agree,
Yeah.
it definitely makes such a big difference. It really helps with the absorption and just to like really hydrate you.
Yeah, especially in the hot climate of like summer and whatnot, or if you're working a very physical job.
Yeah.
Like with all my construction worker patients, I'm like, just take an element pack or just like find an electrolyte that works
Yeah.
for you and drink it on the job because it will make a huge difference.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's smart. Yeah. Especially in
Yeah.
this hot weather that we're getting, right?
I know. Like I said, we're going to be airing this in September, but it's been muggy. It's been a hot summer. Like you're sweating, your body's going through some things. So you need to make sure you're nourishing it properly.
100%. It is thick.
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah. Do you talk about eating with the seasons with your clients at all?
I not so much, to be
Okay.
honest, but I actually like, I do think it's pretty nice. And I
Yeah.
find anyways, like some of the clients that I'm working with right now, like I would recommend bone broth, for example, but I'm like, it's summer. Like, I don't know if you want to drink bone broth
I
right
know.
now. So it's probably not like the right timing for it. However, there's other ways to get it in. But I do incorporate things like that, and I think it's important to, just because it's so much more fresh and tastes better, and you're
Yeah.
getting likely so many more of those nutrients, like good nutrients that we want from those items. So I do think it's pretty important to eat seasonally. It just tastes better too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know like it was about a month ago when I started introducing hot water with lemon again in my routine, and I'm like, but it's summer. I'm gonna start sweating, and that day hasn't even started.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand you want to like stay away from those super hot foods, but at the same time, like I enjoy it now every morning. I can't wait to have that as my first drink of the day. And I know bone broth is so amazing for you. It's so delicious.
Yeah. I love it. And like, I love soups. Like, I'm the type of person that will still eat a soup in the summer.
Yeah.
Or like rice, for example. And I'll love to cook rice with some bone broth as well. So
Yeah.
there's definitely ways to get some of that stuff in. But I would say like, in terms of eating seasonally, like I just always have typically gravitated towards eating more like salads and light things in the summer, and then more of the heartier things in the colder season. So I mean, I'll eat kind of anything, to be honest. I find I do go with those trends a little bit without even realizing it. It is something that I definitely talk about, but not something that I emphasize too much. But this has kind of inspired that, so maybe I should.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I used to be like so into like Ayurveda and like your doshas and the seasons and all that stuff around food. But you said it so wonderfully. Like your body innately just knows that this is what it has to do. This is what it has to eat. You don't have to try so hard. You just crave things because it's hot out. You want something cooler.
Yeah.
It's cold out. You want something warmer. And that's just naturally just Mother Nature helping guide you.
Yeah, and our bodies are smart. So
very
smart. So yeah, it's nice to listen to them. And like you said, like the cravings typically mean like you're missing something or your body wants or needs something. So it's important to listen to those. So yeah, eating seasonally
is because I heard when you're say, for example, you're craving chocolate, it means that you're deficient in magnesium. When you crave a texture food, it means you're nervous or anxious or something along those lines. It usually tends to regulate with like a craving of a mineral or an emotion.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us a little bit more about that whole psychology behind the food that we crave?
Yeah. So it's interesting because when you're craving something, it's your body giving you a sign that, hey, I need this, or I need this, or whatever the case is. So, like when you're craving chocolate, for example, it typically means a magnesium deficiency.
Mhm.
So, there's nothing wrong with grabbing some dark chocolate or something when you're craving that, just to kind of support your body in that way. Other things like if you're craving coffee, it typically means not rested well, dehydrated, things
Mhm.
like that. So all these different cravings kind of have different meanings, and there's different ways to support them. It really
Mhm.
is just your body giving you a signal to put some focus into something else, or this is what I
Mhm.
need. It's just your body telling you, like, communicating with you essentially, like, we need these right now. This is going to help us out. This is going to help you
Mhm.
out. So that's essentially, I would say, the psychology behind it, but
Mhm.
they're all different as well. So I haven't actually heard the texture thing, but I totally believe that too.
I don't
Um,
know, I find, like, I read it somewhere and then I started paying attention and I'm like, "Huh." Like, when I was really nervous, I would go for really crunchy type foods, or when I felt like I needed a hug, I went for, like, really, like, hummus was, like, my go-to,
yeah.
or, like, almond butter, and now I don't touch those things because it was a craving that I
Yeah.
had, but it was, like, that smooth texture that it was just a very fascinating thing that I read, and I'm like, "I wonder if this is actually real or if this is just, like, internet jargon."
No, I actually, because like what I'm thinking about that is like it's satisfying you in some way. So in that
Mhm.
way, it's like, oh, like I'm feeling good. I totally believe that. I'm probably gonna pay attention to that a little bit more and see if like I get any of those myself. But no,
Mhm.
I fully believe that. I think that's definitely just to like satisfy you. Like, I mean, say if you're craving magnesium or something, or if you're
Mhm.
craving dark chocolate, meaning the magnesium
Mhm.
deficiency, you could be really tired or not as happy or things like that.
Mhm.
When you're stressed, you're not satisfied in some way as well. So listening to these cravings are supporting
Mhm.
your body in one way or another. Whether that's like externally, I don't know, things like that. That's super
Yeah.
interesting. But the texture
Yeah.
thing, I like that one.
Yeah.
I
Well,
believe that.
yeah, but you know what? When I'm scrolling through Instagram and I see you on my feed or I go to your profile, you have amazing recipes and such cool ways, like your potato chip thing that you just did. Like, where
Thank
do you get
you.
inspired with these? Because, like, I used to love to cook, and then I moved into a condo, and I swear her oven is the size of my computer screen, which is like 13 inches. So I'm like, I don't cook anymore. So my husband does all the cooking. God bless him. But where do you get your inspiration? Because it looks beautiful and it's so pretty and colorful. But yeah, I want to know who inspires you, or is it just all from within?
That means so much to me. Thank you. Definitely my mom. Like I said, I grew up in a very holistic home. We
Yeah.
always tried to make, like, I mean, and still to this day, like, we try to make as much as we can. My mom has
Yeah.
her full garden that she makes spices with now. Like, it's super interesting. So
That is amazing.
really cool. Yeah. She's definitely been an inspiration for myself, like, from day one till now. So that I would say is a big inspiration for me. But I also, cooking in the kitchen and learning to be in the kitchen has been so great for
Yeah.
myself as well. Because then you can really, you know what you're putting in your body essentially.
Yeah.
And I don't think like I'm this insane chef or anything. Like, I make simple things. I make
But
simple
that's what's so
things.
beautiful, that it's so simple, but it's, like, so delicious, it's so
Yeah.
tasty. It doesn't have to be, like,
Yeah.
a million ingredients in something for it to be good.
And like, I want to be that person that has a million ingredients and like makes this like beautiful masterpiece. But I'm like, I don't know, like right now I find that slightly overwhelming. So I
Yeah.
just stick to more of like the easy, simple, digestible things to make and cook and everything.
Mhm.
And because of that though, like I'm learning so much and I'm able to kind of branch out of that and do other things now. So it's kind of fun, to be honest. But I would say like
Yeah.
my inspiration is definitely my mom, but also I've loved learning everything that I have. And I feel like I'm getting pretty good now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's all just like simple stuff that is easy for people to make. A lot of it are snacks too, because like, I mean, when I made the chips yesterday, I think I saw this recipe for zucchini chips, and I was like, oh, I haven't made those in forever. They always go from like this big to this big,
I
so
know, there's
that's
so
what
much
always
water.
turned me away from it. But I was like, you know what? I've got a few extra potatoes. Let me just try them. And honestly, they turned out amazing. We don't have any
Yeah.
left now. We ate them,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, they go so fast, all those snacks, they're so yummy.
yeah, yeah. Well, I only did like 3 to 4 small potatoes, and it made like a small bowl, I would say, or a medium sized bowl, I would say. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah. And so working with your clients now, do you include recipes like this, or is it very tailored to what they need and what their body needs in order to heal?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a program which we can get into like later, but
Yeah.
in the program, there are 7 modules, and in each of the modules, I include a few little recipes just for them to try out. And all of these recipes as well are things that you can like take this out and add this in. It's just very easy to like sub things in or out in the recipe. So I just have those there for my clients to kind of have an extra little thing to experiment and try out, be in the kitchen a little bit, and go from there. I do
Mhm.
meal plans as well. So if clients want more of like a structured meal plan, I can definitely do that. But yeah, in terms of my program, I don't like I really try to tailor everything to them. And the modules
Mhm.
have just basic recipes that they can kind of follow, add this or that in or take this out.
Mhm.
Um, but
Just more
then
flexibility.
yeah, exactly. But then like in our consultations, for example, and throughout their journey in the program, I give them certain foods, nutrients, and
Mhm.
like examples of dishes to make and everything,
Mhm.
depending on their goals and their lifestyle and essentially what they're wanting to work on. So
Mhm. Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. Can you explain to us your program? Because I went on your website and saw you have a few, and you even have one for dancers, which I thought, I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you must have been a dancer. So can you tell us a little bit more about your program or
Yeah.
programs?
So, yeah, my program, my main one that I was just talking about, it's called the 3-month reset. It's like you said before, it's really taking individuals from that burnt out to more of a balanced version of themselves. So,
Mhm.
in the program, like I said, there are 7 modules, and I send them out one at a time so that my clients can just really absorb one topic at a time.
Mhm.
They're practicing the things that we talked about for that week or 2 weeks, depending on how long it is.
Mhm.
And I find doing it that way, you're able to understand why you're doing what you're doing. You're
Yes.
able to carry out why you're doing what you're doing because you understand it. And then, okay, let's add something else in now. So
Mhm.
that's why I do it one module at a time, and I'll send them off, and they just kind of progress off one another.
Mhm.
Um, but we really focus diet, we really focus on their lifestyle, and then we do get into some supplements if the client is interested in it. It's not necessary,
Mhm.
but if they want to, we can always get into that.
Mhm.
um but yeah, it's the first part is really about, first of all, just being mindful and
Mhm.
tweaking diet and seeing if we want to do like a potential elimination diet, or seeing if we want to add specific foods or nutrients and things like that. They go through that for a few weeks, and then we get into the second half, which is more of the lifestyle. We create routines to kind of support all of that stuff that we did in the first half, and then we get into some supplements. I like to add the supplements kind of closer to the end, because I find once you focus on your diet and your lifestyle a little bit, you might not need some of the things that we originally predicted.
Mhm.
So that's why I kind of add that in later. I think it's super important to really focus on like whole foods, balanced diet, all that stuff first before
Mhm.
getting in that extra support. So that's essentially my program. And
Mhm.
it, like, I mean, we said we have some recipes in there, but there are also video resources. And then there's some other like resources that you can save on your desktop or whatever,
Mhm.
and have those for however long you want. So the goal of the program is really just sustainability. I want you to take everything we learned in the program, take it outside of, continue tweaking it as you go on, because like we're always changing as well, right? What
Yeah.
we want in a year from now is probably slightly different than right now. So I find it
Mhm.
really important to just keep revisiting these things that have worked for you.
Mhm.
Um, but then it also gives you that insight on like, what do I need to change now for it?
Yeah.
So the goal is really sustainability. I want you to take all these things, take them outside, and then just keep growing that way. So that's my
Yeah.
3-month reset program there.
I think it's really beautiful, honestly, because there are so many programs out there that like, we're going to fix you. Like even my functional health program, I'm like, we're doing all these tests, which are amazing to really dive in and see where we have deficiencies. I am a little bit more supplement heavy, but what I love about your program is that you're focusing on the lifestyle and how to make better habitual changes. Because then when you go out for dinner and it's at like, let's say, a irregular restaurant for your routine, you don't want to feel stumped. You don't want to feel like I can't eat here. And
Yeah.
that restriction hits and then you feel like you're on a diet
Mm-hmm.
where, you can't enjoy life. So I love that approach of just having this healthy relationship with food and making it sustainable and long lasting. So when you do want to change, it's like, okay, no problem. This is
Yeah.
easy now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the lifestyle is one of the biggest pieces, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest. One of my clients a few months ago, actually, before we started, she was like, is this a thing where I can like if I have trips coming up, am I able to still go on my trips? Like, can I still? And I was
Yeah.
like, absolutely. Like, I actually think this is perfect for that. I want you
Yeah.
to live your life, but at the same time, add in these healthy, beneficial changes that you want to do first. So if it's not something you want to do, then we would fix that.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think the lifestyle is so important. You want to be able to enjoy what you're doing. You want to be able to eat what you want to eat. And yeah, so I think it's so important to add the two together. It's not
Yeah.
just about what you eat, right? It's really about the lifestyle as well. Because that
Yeah.
has such an impact on what you're eating too, right?
Absolutely. And again, being mindful and aware because a lot of the times, I was eating like super healthy where I didn't have gluten, dairy, sugar, I was really, really clean, but I didn't have that mindful connection to my food either. So I was just eating to eat. It wasn't like I was eating to fuel and nourish my body. It was almost just
Mm-hmm.
like, well, now it's dinner time, so I must go have salmon and quinoa. But it's like no, like think about your food, enjoy your food, and then that
Mm-hmm.
makes it easier to make those changes. So I love that you're doing that because I find that's really missing on socials as well. Everyone's just
Yeah.
trying to copy everyone else and what they're
Yeah.
eating on their day to day, and then they're not seeing results. But yeah, because you're not really thinking about it.
Yeah. I always give this example too, like when I'm first talking with clients, like if you don't like kale, like we're staying the heck away from kale then, because I don't want you to, to have to force yourself to eat that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, you definitely have to like what you eat. Like when I met my husband, he's like, I don't eat vegetables. And I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean you don't eat vegetables? But you know what? He's one of the healthiest people that I know. That's what he does and doesn't eat. And it's like,
Hmm.
okay, no problem. I'll eat
Yeah.
my vegetables and you just keep doing what you're doing. But yeah, you just got to go with the flow of what your body is telling you.
100%. My
Yeah.
fiance and I actually, like, we have slightly different, like what I want to eat versus what he wants to eat.
Yeah.
Slightly different, but we can definitely find that happy medium where like we
Yeah.
make things that he wants, we make things that I want. And it's not too much work either. It's not too much work or
Hmm.
food. Um and we get that healthy balance where like I'm eating the things that I want to eat, he's eating the things that he wants to eat, and we have options as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking about lifestyle, let's dive a little bit into your lifestyle because
Mm.
you told me before that you had a huge lifestyle shift, and I would love
Yes.
to dive into your entrepreneur journey and why you're embarking on becoming an entrepreneur. Because some people are so hesitant or so resistant to even become self-employed. It's very daunting. So, can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit about that journey for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I when we went into COVID, like in lockdown, I think that's when
Mm-hmm.
I took starting my business more seriously because like in
Mm-hmm.
the past like I had been working with nutrition, I had been in health food stores, I'd been in naturopathic doctor or naturopathic clinics.
Mm-hmm.
So I was familiar with that side, and I was like, okay, well, I have all this time and space to create and explore, trial and error and all that. Like, and this is something that I love to do. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to take this seriously now. So I started doing that. But at the same time, I live in Toronto, and I mean, it's quite expensive. So I was like, I need
Yeah.
another job as well, though. Like, I
Yeah.
can't just start this right away and
Slowly.
expect it
Yeah.
to. So I had a restaurant job,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there, I would say like part to full time. I was kind of in between
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing that. I've been doing that up until a few weeks ago, to be honest. My business had, I mean, this year, like I got a new kind of fire under my butt where I was like, this is what I want to happen.
Yeah.
And so I had these goals, and I was like, I'm very committed to them at this point. So that was on my mind. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to stay at the restaurant. Like, I know it's not forever, but it's nice. I love the people here. It's working right
Yeah.
now. So I just continue
It's a
with it.
fun environment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But also in lockdown, that's when I really perfected my sleep schedule. So like
Ooh, yes.
for me to work at night, they knew not to schedule me at night anymore, basically,
Yeah.
because I need to get to
Good
bed
for
early.
you because yeah, it's like one of the criteria. You don't have a consistent work day
Yeah.
night kind of schedule when you're in the
Yeah.
restaurant industry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, exactly. My business had been doing really well this year, especially compared to the last few years where it was doing well, but I definitely was still like pulled in other directions with my other
Mhm.
job and all that stuff. So yeah, I started to do this really well this year, and I was like, you know what, like I know this is my next step. It's just a matter of when I feel ready to do it.
Mm.
I saw this thing the other day, and it's like feeling ready is not a feeling. It's a choice that you make.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, me too, honestly. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I have my business. I have some clients right now. I wasn't actually really scared to quit. I was just like, okay, like whenever the timing feels right for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the last few weeks that I was at work, I just wasn't happy. Like,
Yeah.
showing up and being there, I just wasn't as like happy as I wanted to be, as I should be. And it was really impacting outside of work as well. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
had an event coming up, I wouldn't be looking forward to it really, because I was like, well, I have to work the next day. Like it was just
Yeah.
lots of stress on my end there. And then one day I was like, okay, I just gotta. I ended up actually, the day that I decided to fully do it, I had a bit of a panic attack, which I haven't
Huh.
had in years.
Yeah.
So that was my body literally saying, Marlow, girl, you gotta get out. So that day I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm gonna put my notice in. I put my
Yeah.
notice in the next day, and that was that. And this was nice because on my last day, you actually messaged me to come on this
I love
show.
that. What a coincidence, honestly.
Yeah, no, it was really nice. It was very serendipitous, and it just like confirmed that I was doing what I need to do.
Yeah.
This is right. This is good.
Yeah. You know what? Even with myself, I love doing the business side of things. I love talking to women about their businesses. I love, the marketing, the branding. Like I'm feeling myself getting pulled in another direction. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep chiropractic, but there's a fear. Like, can I do it? Can I bring myself to make this life-changing decision, changing my career? Like, who will I be? What will I do? Will it even work out? So kudos to you for doing it, because it's bold. It's like a huge move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I remember someone told me, like, when I was kind of thinking about quitting, they were like, do it when it feels right. Like, don't
Yeah.
worry about what this person thinks or what this person's saying. Like, do it when it feels right. And
Yeah.
honestly, that day when I had that little panic attack, I was like, hey, I'm ready. Like, this feels ready. This is such a sign.
I think it's time.
Yeah, so no, thank you. I feel really proud of it, honestly. And like,
Yeah.
honestly, like really good things have happened since. So
Tell us, share.
well, I mean, the first thing you messaged me, and that was really sweet. And like, you could not take my smile off that day. I think partly
Aw.
because of that and just finishing. And it was like the end of an era, but in a positive way. So sorry. What was the question again?
Just share with us what's been amazingly happening in your life. Yeah.
Sorry so much.
That's okay. I
No,
sometimes switch out on questions too. I'm like, what did I just ask them? Like,
No,
they're
sorry
doing a
about
great
that.
job. That's okay.
Yeah, so that happened first.
Yeah.
And then I actually got to go on the Weather Network last week.
Oh, yes. I saw that in your stories.
Yeah.
Okay, tell us about that, because I'm like wanting to go on television so bad. So that looked amazing.
It was very fun. It was such a sweet opportunity. I'm really happy that happened. But my friend actually messaged me and she was like, hey, are you potentially interested in doing a segment on immune health, essentially? So food, nutrition, lifestyle, things like that for the Weather Network. And I was like, yes, absolutely. I would love to. So ended up doing last week. I've never been on TV before, so that was scary, exciting, fun, all of that stuff. And I'm very proud of it now. But yeah, so I went on to do that. We shot it in Oakville and it will be aired October 1st.
Okay, so this will go out before that. So that's good to know.
Yeah. So that was another great opportunity that happened. And then honestly, just this year, like I've had more discovery calls and clients than I have had in the past. So loving that progression, I guess, and just excited to see where else that goes.
Yeah.
And then I also have a stress ebook coming out soon. So I started that last year. And I think because of work, I put it a bit on hold because I was just there a lot more often than I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then when I quit, I was like, okay, we're gearing down. We are getting this stress ebook done. It's now finally done. I just have to go through the stages.
Good job. Congratulations. That's an accomplishment, because I've done a few ebooks that have not made it to the world.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot. And I was like, this is so overwhelming. Like, where do I start? And then I was like, you know what? One day just start writing stuff down. And that's
exactly.
It. So it just turned into that. And I think like quitting obviously like really helped because I had a lot more time to put into it. So very happy that that's done. Now I just need to get it like proofread, published. I've sent it off to my dad, first of all. So I'm going to send it to a few other people too. Just proofread that, and then we'll get into the next steps after that. But that's coming out, and I'm really excited for that one, for sure.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. So when exactly did you leave the industry and start your entrepreneur journey? What
This was last month. Like
Okay.
I had started my business a few years ago, but
Okay,
full-time entrepreneurial like lifestyle a month
Yeah.
ago.
You know what? For this to all happen in a month, I think you made the right decision.
I think so too. Like
Yeah.
I feel really good about it. It feels
It's
and
amazing.
every day it feels like the right thing. It feels like confirmation. So yeah, and I know there's still going to be challenges and
Mhm.
discomfort and uncertainty and all that, but I'm not like scared of it anymore. I'm welcoming it.
Yeah.
And like even this and the weather network, I was kind of nervous before, but I was like,
Mhm.
this is good though. Like
It's
good
fun.
experience for sure, right? And you get to
Yeah.
meet other people at the same time. So it's great.
Yeah, I genuinely think my favorite part about entrepreneurship is the networking that you do because it really is, it takes a certain person to be an entrepreneur. That's why not everyone does it. You
Mm-hmm.
really have to be like that bold, outgoing type of person. Even if you're not, you kind of embody that persona when you're in an
Yeah.
event or when people ask you to come on, to a podcast or to the
Mm-hmm.
weather network. So it's almost this beautiful connection between everyone that I love. And it's like, wow, I didn't even know I was able to do that. And you surprise yourself every day in like the littlest way. And sometimes it's in a really big way.
Mm-hmm. I was such an introvert growing up, and I don't think I'm an extrovert. I would say I'm more of like the introvert right in the middle. So, yeah, like I mean, this would have been a lot harder when I was younger for sure, but I have become more confident. I've become more like extroverted, I would say, because of this. And yeah, it definitely takes that kind of personality to do it for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Like I like the service industry because it gets you to build that, ability to talk to people because you go to a table where you do not say anything,
Yeah.
right? Like you have to talk to them. You got to ask them questions, but it's a little scripted. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, being an entrepreneur, it's a lot of fun, but it is a lot of work, let's be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how do you keep yourself? I know you got a lot going for you. Like this month in itself is amazing, but how do
Mm-hmm.
you keep yourself motivated when you feel like, I don't know, what should I do today? When you have those like little doubts in your mind, how do you keep going?
Whenever I have those doubts, I think to myself, okay, I want to create the community piece, right? So I
Yeah.
want to start conversations, or I want to create this or that to start conversations and to do something essentially for that. So
Mhm.
I feel like when I first initially get that feeling and I'm like, what do I do? Like I'm feeling kind of crappy that I haven't done anything yet. First, I'll clean. I'll clean something to like get myself in the productive mood.
I have to move my body.
And also like when your space is clean, it feels great.
Yes,
You're like, I
it
can get
does.
anything done right now. So
Yes.
that's kind
Agree
of my
100%.
first it's kind of my first step, and then I get into it. And I think because of that, I'm like, okay, I'm in the mood now. I'm in the zone. But I really think about like the community piece. So, and a lot of like being an entrepreneur is being online and
Mhm.
telling yourself kind of that way. So,
Yeah,
showing up. And there's days when I'm like, I don't want to show up,
I
right? So
know.
if there's days that I'm really feeling that, I won't, and I'll listen to myself. I think it's really important to do that. But it doesn't have to be like showing your face every day or talking every day. You know what I mean? Like when I
Yeah.
first started, I struggled a lot with that. So I'd post more pictures and stuff like that to start conversations, but I knew I needed to obviously branch out a little bit more. So I feel better with that now for sure, but
Mhm.
there's definitely still days when I'm like, I don't want to create, like I don't want to show up right now. I kind of just, you know, and I'll for the most part listen to that, but I'll still try to do something to feel productive and feel good that way. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Having just started, well, that's not a correct term. Having recently started full time your entrepreneurial journey, what's three pieces of advice you would give to someone who might have been in the state that they are in now that you were maybe a month ago when you were at your restaurant job?
Some of these might sound cliche because like but like listen to yourself, honestly. Like
Yeah.
it's such
That's
a
a
big
huge one.
thing. Listen and trust yourself, I would probably combine together because like I've said before, like your body's so smart. If you're not happy somewhere, like it's a sign that you need to change something. If you're
Mhm.
stressed, it's a sign that you need to change something. So just listen to yourself and trust that your body knows what it needs.
Mhm.
So to listen to that, I would say that's number one. Um, Feeling ready is not a feeling, it's a decision. It's something
Mhm.
that it's something that you decide to do. So you're never going to fully feel ready to do it. You just kind of have to do it and go from there. And like obviously understand that there's going to be uncertainty and discomfort, but
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of part of the beauty of it too. You're learning in those situations as well. So that'd be number 2. And then number 3, I would say, these are all so cliche, but like, don't be scared.
No, but it's true. These are things that people need to hear over and over and over again.
Don't be scared, because when you're putting stuff into what you're most passionate about, that's when you're going to get the most back as well. Mm-hmm. People want to see us for who we are. Like, people don't want to see me as someone else. They want to see Marlow for what she does. Mm-hmm. And just don't be scared to go for what you want and to do what you want as well, because people want to see that. And that's why you're here. It's what you were meant to do, to show what you want to do and to show what you're passionate about. So I would say that's my last little piece of advice there. Yeah.
No, I think all 3, although you say they're cliche, I just think they're amazing because these are things even that I'm listening to and I'm like, yes, I know. Like, I need to do that. I need to, I need to get over that hump, or I need to, and it doesn't just have to be with the chiropractic. It's literally with anything, putting out that ebook or putting out that new program. Like, there's always going to be like a hesitation in doing something within the career. It's not even just starting the career, it's maintaining it, right? Mm-hmm. You just kind of always have to have that little bit of a push and a little bit of an edge to keep going.
Yeah. And like, the things that go wrong, like, say if you made a decision and things go wrong, it's not a bad thing. Like, you've learned so much from it, and like, things won't change unless things change. So you need to make those changes. You need to make the hard decisions in order to experience something else that you want to experience, like good things too. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you're learning a lot through the process in a good way.
I always say there's no such thing as failure. It's always just a learned opportunity, right?
100%.
Yeah, because you can make the same mistake over and over and over again. It just means you haven't learned yet, right?
Yeah. And you needed that lesson a few times to learn it.
Absolutely. Like, the universe doesn't play tricks on you. Everything is happening for the right reasons and for the reasons that it's intended to happen.
I fully agree. And I think that to myself a lot too. When things like go wrong, or if something's like frustrating, I'm like, I wish it happened this way. Like, this was supposed to be. So
exactly.
Breathe.
Yes.
That's my 4th piece of advice. Just breathe.
Yes. It'll be fine. You're taken care of. Don't worry.
Genuinely, everything will be fine though.
Yeah. Well, look at your stories. Honestly, it's amazing. I'm so inspired by it. It is so, so exceptional. But what is one piece of advice that you can give us on how you keep your brain, your body, but also your business healthy as well?
One piece.
Well, you can give us more if you want.
Okay. First of all, water. Drink your water.
Yes.
Hydrate yourself. It supports everything. Literally every body system. Hydrate. Number 1. I'm going to probably give you 2 things.
That's fine.
Or 3 things, sorry. Balanced meals. To just support your body, support your brain, support everything. Keep your energy levels up, keep your mood stabilized. So that's number 2. Eat balanced meals and eat frequently. Like, eat your, not the snacking like we talked about, eating
the healthy things.
Yeah, exactly. Number 2. And then number 3, stress management.
Yes,
that's stress management. And I would probably include like sleep quality within that, because they kind of go well together. Mm-hmm. So I would say those are kind of my like 3 pillars for health, how I stay as balanced as I can. Mm-hmm. So those are 3 things that I would just focus on. Mm-hmm. Great start there for sure.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Marlow, honestly, it's been such a pleasure chatting with you. I feel like we could talk for another 3 hours or more.
Yeah, we can
You're
continue.
Such an interesting person. Thank you so much for being on the show. Where can we find you?
Thank you so much for having me. You can find me at Marlow's Nutrition on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to visit my site, it's marlownutrition.com. No S in the middle there.
Okay.
So that's where you can find me.
I'll link it in the show notes as well, so people can just click the link.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing all of your wisdom with us and all about your journey in entrepreneurship. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the EmpowHer Collective Show. We hope you found inspiration and valuable insights from today's episode. If you're ready to take your business and your well-being to the next level, we would love to help you on your journey. Don't forget to join our free Facebook community linked below for ongoing support and resources. And if you're looking for personalized guidance, book a one-on-one call with me, also linked below. Let's balance your brain, your body, and your business so we can continue to empower you and elevate you to success. We'll see you at the next episode.